Hello. Now we are talking about the normalizations that editors might want to add to the text they're editing. What are normalizations? That is, sometimes in a text you stumble on a grammar mistake or a spelling mistake, and you don't want to correct this mistake without explaining what's going on, what was in the manuscript, and so on. So usually you will indicate that there is a spelling mistake somewhere by adding a note with the mention sic, which in Latin means it is so, and either leave it at that, just indicating that there's something wrong with this spelling, or you could also indicate what the expected spelling would be. Let's see an example here. Here you have the sentence, I've been there before, with an obvious spelling mistake on there. A very common one, but nevertheless, it is something that should be mentioned in your edition, that this is not the expected spelling. So how are you going to do that? You're going to use the choice element, which we saw a little earlier, but with different children. Here you're going to use sic and cor, like sic and correction, as children. So you're going to, if you want simply to indicate that the spelling is wrong, without indicating how you think it should be spelled, you can simply put a sic element and around the incorrect spelling here. Around there, you would have a sic element. But if you wish to indicate what you think should be the correct spelling, you will add the full choice element, and you will have inside choice the sic element with the original spelling as it is found in the manuscript, and you will have another child of choice, which is cor, where you will put the correct spelling as you think it should be in the manuscript. So it means that after that you will be able to display either the manuscript as it is written, the text of the manuscript as it is written originally, or you could choose to display the amended text with the content of cor for a better readable text. But always recording what is in the manuscript and what has been amended by the editor. That's the important thing, to always be able to make a difference between these elements. Another frequent occurrence is that you might have an early modern version of a language, like 16th century English or French, where the spelling rules and punctuation rules were quite different from nowadays, and you might want to have a reading edition, a reading version of your text, and the true version of your text alongside each other, so that less experienced people who are not familiar with the spelling and punctuation of these days, could also read the text with not too much trouble. So in this case, you're also going to use choice with two different children. This time we're going to use orig for the original form and reg for the regularization of the word. That is, in orig you put the original form of the word, and in reg you put the regularized, modernized form of the word. For instance, here you have the title of this very early 17th century edition of Hamlet, which read The Tragical History of Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, by William Shakespeare. This is not familiar looking for modern readers, so you might want to offer them the alternative of reading the a more traditional spelling of this sentence. And that is how you could encode this. So you see that for each word with a different spelling from nowadays, you would encode that with a choice using orig to encode the original spelling and reg to propose the regularized modern spelling. That is the end of the normalization modules, and we are now going to move on to the encoding of modifications proposed by the editor. Thank you.